Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about Monster Hunter Wilds. It's about to come out later this week, and I tell you right now, the wife and I were excited for it. We will be streaming that live on this channel. So make sure you keep an eye out for notifications as we go live and come watch us play this game. This will be our first time ever playing a Monster Hunter game. We consider playing Worlds and then Rise, but the clunkiness of the co-op or multiplayer kind of put us off a little bit. We've heard that this new game, Wilds, is actually, while not perfect, it's much better than what it previously was with Worlds and Rise. So come by the channel, check it out, YouTube, Twitch. I stream on X as well. I look forward to seeing you there. Now, what's interesting is IGN has reviewed this game. They gave it a decent rating, but it seems like what rating you get depends on which IGN you look at. IGN here, I guess, in the West in America, and then IGN Brazil, they gave it two different ratings. So let's look at the video from the IGN in, I guess, America, you could say, and then we'll look at the rating that Brazil gave Monster Hunter. It's there is a difference, a significant difference. So let's look at this video first, see what he's got to say.
After the massive success of both Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, it makes sense that Capcom would do whatever it can to welcome that wider audience into the next frontier. That's exactly what Monster Hunter Wilds does, smoothing out the already excellent process of turning big scary dragons into silly little hats to
Just to remind you, I've never played a single Monster Hunter game at all, so all of these monsters are going to be brand new to me, and so I can't really compare it to the old games.
be faster, more flexible, and less fiddly than ever before. The other side of those dual blades, however, is that Wilds is light on any real challenge, even for what I'd expect at launch, never asking me to think hard about my equipment. But while the monsters may not pose much of a threat this time around, smart tweaks to combat still mean the act of carving them up has rarely felt better.
It being easy for this reviewer doesn't mean it's going to be bad. I think that helps get new people into the game.
My first surprise in Wilds was that the campaign isn't just a totally forgettable excuse to kill anything that crosses your path this time.
Those cutscenes look good.
Mostly that, as you explore yet another uncharted land to solve some mystery. But while the story itself isn't particularly fresh, the difference here is that the characters within it are actually pretty great.
I'm surprised IGN is talking about great characters when I'm assuming there's no, non-binary type characters in this game. So that's a little surprising to me. Plus, you got this chick here, which I know the internet was going crazy over when she was first revealed.
Whether it's the excitable engineer Gemma,
We are so gonna talk later, pal.
your empathetic handler Alma,
Oh, but I've definitely heard of him.
or the total space cadet of a biologist Eric,
This forest is amazing.
your team
What
is
the
full
heck?
of likable personalities.
Wait. Maybe I was wrong about what I previously said. Just look.
Cadet of a biologist Eric,
I would not have thought this was a guy when I saw this person here. I wouldn't have. I'm going to be honest with you.
Forest is amazing.
your team is full of likable personalities and little character arcs throughout the gorgeously animated cutscenes.
See? Told you they'd be fine.
And that was enough to get me more invested.
Oh, that's a cool outfit that
The
person had there.
revamped structure of Wilds also
Ooh,
means
is that a
that
pink
campaign
gorilla?
is significantly shorter than I was expecting. I reached the credits in just 15 hours and didn't have to fight a
Hippo
single
gorilla?
monster twice in that time, getting enough materials from any initial
With the big
encounters
ball
to keep my
sack?
gear up to snuff and jump right from one mission to the next. When you compare that to the 40-plus hours it took
Oh, that's
to
a
see
cool
the end of the
design
story
there.
in World, it feels like the intent is to allow more people to quote-unquote beat Wilds. And I
Well, I don't think it's a bad idea. Look, there are people, I know a few people that can have a challenging time in games. So if you make a game that's more accessible, you're going to get a broader audience coming in. If you make games that are for your hardcore best players out there, that's the only market you're going to have. You're going to narrow down your player base so much, your game will not be successful. Those people will find things in the game to entertain themselves. They come up with their own challenges, like in Elden Ring. That one guy who became really famous for wearing no armor, wearing a pot on his head, and like one shot and everything with no damage, right? I mean, he became famous for that. That's the type of challenge and content that some of these better players will come up with to entertain themselves. So making sure that the content is easy enough and welcoming for new players or just your returning players that happen to be not as good as some of your best players, I think is a good thing. It really does. I think it'll allow you to sell more games and have a bigger player base.
Certainly appreciate how that shift toward approachability might appeal to anyone who has been traditionally intimidated by the series. But as a veteran, I can't help but be a little disappointed that I literally didn't get knocked out once in that entire time. There's never a skill or armor testing wall of a monster that forced me to really consider my
I think it
equipment
says
choices
more about your
deeply
skill than
in
it
order
does
to
about
earn
the game.
reward of a hard-fought victory.
But I could be wrong.
Avoiding
I've never played
spoilers,
before.
there is, of course, more to do once you get past the credits. That's where the larger changes Wilds makes to the traditional Monster Hunter loop really start to shine. Gone are the days of returning to a separate town between every hunt, then going down the same
This looks
checklist
really
of
good.
tasks before you're ready for the next one.
You know,
Pretty much
style-wise
everything you need is out in the
and
field
graphics.
with you, and you're never more than a lickety-split
That's
loading
beautiful.
screen away from whichever beautiful area you want to be in. Convenient adjustments are all over the place.
Oh, she's a pretty
like food
character. Is that
buffs
the
being tied to a
character,
timer now
like
that
the
sticks
player?
around between hunts. It doesn't even tick down while
Not
in
her, but
camp,
the other
making
girl.
a previously repetitive process substantially smoother without removing the depth it added to hunts.
Nothing like home cooking.
The roaring
Look, there's one thing. There's one thing I realized watching other people play Monster Hunter, and things I've also heard other people say is how clunky the game can be, not just in combat, but in the flow of it. So if they've smoothed the flow of the game out, that's a good thing. Yeah, you may miss certain aspects about the old game because, you know, nostalgia, right? I mean, people like, oh, back in my day, you know, but I think it's a good thing if you make the game smoother for everybody because eventually you're going to get tired of some of this old clunkiness that's in the game and you're going to go on to play something else. So if you're able to take out some of that resistance that players may run into, I think it's a good thing.
successful result of those changes is that a vast majority of the friction past games could produce as you start and stop and restart between every encounter has been removed.
Yeah.
Now you can just check your map for monster information and go hunt. The monsters you'll face are also generally excellent. That could be a flashy newcomer like the flamenco-inspired Lalabarina,
That's a cool design.
or Wild's headliner Arkveld and its chain-like appendages.
Holy cow.
But the true stunner has
Whoa.
to be New Udra. The tentacles
That's
of
an
Monster Hunter's
octopus?
first octopus-like creature can be as unpredictable to contend with as you might expect,
a
especially when
very
they're
cool
literally
design.
on fire. And the satisfaction of severing every single one of them over the course of a hunt is second to none. The appeal of Monster Hunter's fights has always been how it empowers you with flashy moves and hard-hitting attacks,
I'm really liking the way this looks.
but
Compared to what
knowing
I've seen
when
with
to
Worlds
strike
and
where to
Rise,
stand and how the
this is
monster
looking
will
really
behave
good.
next is just as important as figuring out which buttons to press.
and the combat doesn't seem to be as clunky
That's
as what
true
I've seen in
Wilds
World.
too, but combat is also more flexible and
Oh,
forgiving here.
there you go.
For example, you can adjust your footing a little more mid-combo, resulting in fewer moments where a mistimed attack with a long animation had me embarrassingly slicing at the air.
Yeah, I've seen that in Worlds, and that I'm like, that just doesn't look good. And it didn't want. Look, the only reason I even considered playing Worlds is because it's something I potentially could do with my wife. I didn't like the way the combat looked when I've seen other people play it, and I'm like, I don't know if I would want to play that game because of what he just said. I've seen too many times where somebody would commit to an attack, and because of, I guess, what appears to be animation, like they're stuck swinging in air, missing everything, and the other things are just moving around them. And I hate that. I really do. I hate that.
In many ways, the combat feels like it's all about the new wound system this
Okay.
time. Wounds open up once you deal enough damage to a given body part, and
That's
then
cool.
you'll deal extra damage when attacking them. But deal enough damage to a wound and it'll break, resetting that spot. Every weapon also has a simple to execute focus
I like that
strike
concept.
will deal a burst of damage to a wound and break it right away. So maximizing the amount of time you leave one open and
looks so
then using
cool.
that finisher before it closes naturally
weapon is that?
is an interesting subgame to manage. Or at least it would be if Wild's ever presented me with a challenge that pushed me to make those considerations.
This guy keeps mentioning that, and I just feel like for him, it sounds like he's played a lot of Monster Hunter games. So he's a veteran. He's probably extremely good at the game, and there's not much they've thrown at him that he hasn't already seen. So I feel like this is a guy who's reviewing the game, but he's looking at it from his expert level when it comes to his ability in the game. So everything's going to seem easier to him. Like I said, Elden Ring, a lot of people found Elden Ring to be hard. And I know there were people who stopped playing it because it was hard for them. Other people found it was easy, but a lot of those people played those types of games in the past. I think it was somewhere in between, to be honest with you. I've never played any of the Souls games before. I played Elden Ring. I thought, yes, it was a challenge, but it was very fun. It was entertaining. The more harder bosses were optional. You didn't have to play those. So you want to find a balance with the difficulty so that you can allow more people to come in and play your game, and at the same time still giving people somewhat of a challenge as they get further into the game.
Whether I was playing online or solo, I've never had a mission reach the 20-minute mark, and I've only fainted 2 times total across dozens of hours.
Yeah,
Compare
there's
that
nothing
to
wrong with
World,
that.
which had real tests like Kieran, who smacked me silly my first couple of attempts, forcing me to regroup and craft an armor set around.
Now I don't know about Kieran. Was this monster added after the initial release of World? Because I know that they add a bunch of monsters. So I'm wondering if some of the more difficult monsters that other people are thinking about when they reviewed or tested out Wilds. I wonder if those monsters were added after the fact, and those are some of the more difficult monsters. I don't know. I don't know that. So you guys down in the comments will have to let me know.
Thunder resistance, and it's hard not to feel like Capcom's desire to make this a more inviting Monster Hunter sanded off some of the bumps I actually enjoyed in terms of overcoming big threats.
Standing off bumps is a good
Things
thing
do
in
ramp
games.
up a little bit in the post-game, but even there I only really had to worry about upgrading
That's
my
cool
armor
looking.
or falling behind in damage once or twice during the content that's available at launch. After the 15 hours it took me to beat the campaign, I only had to spend another 15 to finish every side quest that wasn't
good.
about catching fish.
I might actually
And just
100% a
5
game.
more after that before I had the best armor set and weapon I could get, and a pretty solid suite of skill-boosting decorations.
I'm not a full-time streamer or a full-time content creator. So if the game can be done in 15 to 30 hours, hey, that's perfect for me. That's something me and my wife can easily do over a month and a half or 2 months of our streams whenever we are actually able to stream.
To be fair, I still have plenty more equipment I could grind for, but my usual desire to get the top-tier weapon of each elemental type and put together specialized outfits for certain
He's
challenging
like me.
fights
I'll
just
play a girl.
isn't here this
My wife will
time,
play a guy.
because those fights aren't here either. I think a lot of this comes down to raw numbers that could hypothetically be tweaked in one of the many patches that are sure to come.
I really
But
like the
some of what
monster
makes
design
things
I've
so
seen.
easy also seems to be baked into the bones of Wilds. For example, nearly every time you focus strike a wound, the monster gets locked into a little stagger animation.
Well, that's cool.
And you'll be breaking wounds a lot. Meanwhile, on the crafting side,
I like
of things,
that character
my hunt for
design,
best
too.
armor was way shorter than I ever expected because materials that are usually super rare can sometimes show up as guaranteed
wait to have a
rewards
cat.
when looking at the monster list on your map. That was
I love cats.
excitingly convenient initially, but it's
Interesting.
also what brought that loot chase to an almost trivially fast end.
Perfection.
Yes, you are.
I imagine this difficulty tuning will get a lot more
yes, it
people
is.
through the front
Whatever
door.
she's talking
But
about.
it also means that where my past 3 Monster Hunter reviews wrapped up around the 50 to 60 hour mark while I still had plenty more I was excited to do, I started losing steam with Wilds before I even hit 40.
That's a cool. I know
Don't
I
get me
keep saying
wrong,
it, but
that's
I've never
still a
seen all these
healthy chunk
monsters.
of
That's a
game,
really
and
cool
it has
design.
absolutely been some of the most fun I've had with the series. I'm also sure any longtime fans will be thinking, well, we just have to wait for updates or G rank
And I
or whatever
love
for the real
the-
challenge. But in that regard,
that
Capcom's
weapon
own
and the
roadmap has
combat
left me
for that weapon.
wary.
It looks
There's
really
only
cool.
one monster scheduled to be added for all of spring, and then only one currently listed for summer. In contrast, Rise also felt slight at launch, but got 6 new monsters just 1 month later, and then 3 more a month after that.
Yeah, I could see that potentially being an issue, especially if it's as easy as he claims the main game will be. Which again, I have no problem with the campaign being a little on the easier side because you want as many people playing it. You can add some of your more challenging bosses later, but if they're not doing that, I can definitely see that being a problem down the road for this game. That I think he has a potential legit point there.
Wilds already feels like it needs endgame threats like its formidable elder dragons to really push its limits.
Well,
And
that's
if it
cool.
instead only gets one returning monster in the first 3
I love the way it looks like it's got fur or hair. That's really cool.
or so months after launch, this could be a long wait until its inevitable expansion. That all said,
Cute character design right here. I'm assuming this is the player characters. That's cute. I like that. It's much better than what I've seen in some of the other games where it's just ugly ass player characters, and I hate that.
Wilds deserves credit for being what has got to be one of the most customizable games I have ever played. There's a huge host of accessibility features. You can adjust the size of or turn off individual elements on your UI.
Oh, that's
You
cool.
have more control than ever over your menus and radio wheels, and you can alter the look of stuff like your mount, chat
Nice.
stickers, and even fast travel tents to a surprising degree. As a crowning touch, you can finally wear any version of each armor set too, essentially doubling the cosmetic options previously available as you get into the all-important fashion side of things.
Yeah,
towards the
I
end.
won't get into it, but I think it's great they have that ability.
Partying up online has
A
also
lot
been
of
made
people
more
love that
robust,
stuff.
letting you run around each map with your friends and seamlessly flow from hunt to hunt without having to regroup
This
at camp
is what
between
I'm
each
all
mission.
about here.
And even if you're largely planning to play
Multiplayer.
solo, there are quality of life changes here for you too. That could be the surprisingly competent AI support hunters that fill empty spots in your party when you fire an SOS flare,
Oh,
but also
really?
the inclusion of an online single-player option that lets you fire flares to get help, but still pause the action entirely before you do.
So they wait. So they have AI like party helpers that come in when you fire an SOS flare. When do you fire? Why do you fire an SOS flare? I mean, obviously you want help, but is that something you do for every monster, or I don't know? If you guys know, let me know down in the chat because I've never played this game, so I'm not really sure what that is or what it's for. But I mean, it's cool that they got like AI, and it sounds like you'd also pause it and wait for real people to come in. So that's kind of cool.
Monster Hunter Wilds continues to smooth off the rougher corners of the series in smart ways, reducing as
Dude, you
much
got an
friction as
ugly
possible
face.
that could get in the way of you grabbing any of its
you
exceptionally fun
blind?
weapons and planting them firmly in a monster's hide. But in that quest to make Monster Hunter more approachable, Wilds is sliced a little too close to the bone in some places, trimming its challenge back so much that I barely needed to engage with its in-depth equipment system at all this time to become an apex predator. Its more flexible combat is still some of the most fun I've had with the series, but like the blustering lightning storms of its gorgeous desert, it burns brightly but briefly until Capcom unleashes some real endgame beasts to challenge us.
Okay. Yeah. So look, see, they gave it an 8. Now, keep in mind.
For more, check out our reviews of Avowed or Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Notice they didn't mention, Dragon Age Veilguard. Keep in mind they gave that a 9. So I'm just saying, put everything into context. They gave this an 8. They gave Dragon Age Veilguard a 9. And I could guarantee you this game will be massively more successful than Dragon Age Veilguard. So just understand. Now I know this guy didn't review Veilguard. It was probably somebody else. But just take all that in context, right? Now, like I said earlier about Brazil, these guys gave it an 8. Let's look at what IGN Brazil gave it. Verdict: a strong game candidate of the year. Monster Hunter Wilds marks another great Capcom hit with its most popular franchise today. With a grandiose and impressive world, a huge variety of biomes, and breathtaking monster fights, the new chapter of the franchise offers one of the best and most varied gameplay of the entire new generation of consoles, rewarding players who explore the enormous possibilities that Monster Hunter Wilds has to offer. Whether you're a beginner or a veteran in the series, it will be hard not to be enchanted. Yet another brilliant work from Capcom. Okay. They gave it a 9.5. So I don't know why there's such a huge disparity, but again, different people will rank things and view things differently. But this game looks like it's going to be an incredible game. So 9.5 by IGN in Brazil, 8 by IGN over here in the US. I'm assuming that's where they're located. So yeah. So it's going to be a good game, guys. I'm telling you right now, I am extremely looking forward to this game. I'm excited about it. This game looks like it's the best Monster Hunter game yet from what I've seen. I've never played any, to be honest with you. Never played any. So I'm completely open about that. This will be my very first one. But from the combat and the gameplay, from what I've seen with various other Monster Hunter games, I think they've done a really good job smoothing this one out. I expect this one to probably be the best one yet in terms of sales, gameplay, people playing the game on Steam, console. I really expect this to be the best yet. So go check it out. Yeah, so I mean that's all I've got for you, really. I mean this game, I'm looking forward to it. The wife and I will play it on stream. So make sure you've subscribed to my channel on YouTube, or you follow me, subscribe to me on Twitch or X. And yeah, check my streams out when I go live. Hopefully, you get some notifications. I definitely would love to see all of you guys there. So let me know what you guys think. Are you going to play this game on day one? You gonna wait for it to go on sale? Are you even a Monster Hunter player? I haven't been, but I think I will be at this point. So with all that said, if you liked the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content. Hopefully you guys are there for my stream of this Monster Hunter game, and I will talk to you guys next time.